Hi, how's it going? Welcome to another BioDevils podcast, and today I'm joined by a couple of guests, and we're here to talk about some Assassin's Creed Shadows, because for whatever reason, Ubisoft hates everyone. But while while I'm contemplating as to whether or not Ubisoft even likes having my money, why don't I go ahead and introduce our guests here? First off, we have DevilHunterJames. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, how's it going? Been a hot minute.
Alrighty. Uh, Next up, we have Gamma. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Been a while since I've been here, but glad to be back.
And then we also have Arian. He's gonna show up in a moment. He's just gone to the restroom really quick, so he'll be right back. And then hopefully Brandon will fucking join us. Yeah, I'm a snitch. I will snitch. But yeah. Anyway, so we're here to talk about some Assassin's Creed Shadows, and first and foremost, I just kind of want to know, how did you all feel with the initial reveal, given that it's so much different from the initial teaser that we saw, like, I think, what was it, like a year or two ago?
Hmm.
Genuinely, I saw this coming.
Okay.
I had no expectations and yet I'm still let down.
Damn. Well, to be fair, I'm kind of in the same boat. Um,
Mm.
I did not have any high expectations because it was Ubisoft. However, I was not expecting them to go this route. And then we'll kind of talk about this in a little moment here, but when the rumors started coming up of like, oh, one of the characters you're going to play as is going to be Yasuke, and I know you guys know that I've been saying this for a while, but like, for anybody else that doesn't know that what my opinion is on this, well, now you're gonna know that like, I knew for a fact that Ubisoft was going to announce Yasuke as if this was like a great thing for Assassin's Creed because they're doing a black character, not because they're doing a game based off of an interesting historical figure, and that's what we're seeing. But we'll delve more into that in just a moment. So yeah, I'm fairly disappointed because of how they're handling this game, because it's not what I was anticipating. Granted, I wouldn't call myself the biggest Assassin's Creed fan out there or anything like that, but at the same time, I am mildly interested in the series, and to see it kind of delve into a part of history that interests me the most, it's very disappointing to see that it's not being done in a way that would make it interesting, I would think.
Also, shout out to us for actually saying his name correctly. The amount of people that say Yasuke, Yasaki, Babaki, bro, I'm getting sick of it. It's not a hard name to say. It's like two
I got I got
syllables. Come
I got
on.
confused the other day and called him Yusuke for
Oh,
some.
come on, yeah.
Thank you for adding to the bingo
Yeah,
card of mispronunciations.
I mean, it
So,
kind of shows how less I remember that character.
well, and here's the thing, like, and I'm just saying this as somebody who would probably still give this game a shot, potentially, unless if Ubisoft makes this even worse than they already have. Um, I'm not saying that like this game in particular is going to be bad simply because Yasuke is playable. I feel like that's this big like misconception that a lot of people have, is that like people are angry or upset about this because Yasuke's in there, and not really taking into consideration why they're saying this game is going to be bad, or that Ubisoft is already messed up. If Yasuke is written well, which I highly highly doubt they're going to write him very well, then I won't complain about it. I'll take back what I said, right? And we'll go from there. It's not a big deal. But given that this is Ubisoft, and I have played through Valhalla, I haven't played through Odyssey just yet, but I've been told about that game. Valhalla, at least in that game's case, it was like a game where like, okay, the canonical character is the female character, but the male character was better performed in terms of voice acting and better written because the voice actor happened to be a part of like a Viking TV show before. In the case of Syndicate, right? I've also played that game. A lot of people don't like Jacob Fry, but they liked Evie Fry because of the way that they wrote those characters. They made Jacob a complete idiot, right? And so I don't expect them to write Yasuke well, or vice versa. I don't expect them to maybe potentially write Naoe well, the female protagonist that is Japanese. I can expect them to mess up that character and then somehow have more favor towards writing Yasuke, just so that they can essentially push a narrative that, oh, you see, like, this is why people like this game, or this is why people don't like this game. But we'll kind of delve into that in a moment. Basically, my whole thing is that Assassin's Creed in Japan is an interesting idea that everybody wanted for a really long time, but I think with this game and with some of the things that the developers have said, Ubisoft has shown very quickly why they've avoided it for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, they called Egypt and Japan generic titles, and well, we already have one of those that exists, and AC Origins turned out to be pretty good. A rarity considering AC's current track record. And now they're doing Japan, and unfortunately, they can't just stick to the script. They have to do some sort of obnoxious subversion. At least in my opinion, it's a subversion.
Fans have been wanting Assassin's Creed in Japan since 2012, since around Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah, I would argue even maybe earlier than that. Like
Yeah, like maybe Brotherhood, maybe.
yeah,
That was
I would
when
maybe even argue even like before AC2 was a thing. People have been asking for it, you know. Um, I'm pretty certain like Japan, Egypt, and ancient Rome were like the top three in terms of what people wanted in an Assassin's Creed game, and they got, well, now we've gotten all three, right?
Mhm.
But it is this kind of like thing of like, okay, like, yeah, we have those games, but like, as somebody mentioned this in one of Ubisoft's videos, like, you know, you have all these Assassin's Creed games. Like if you played AC1, you're playing a dude from the Middle East. If you're playing AC2 and AC Brotherhood, right, you're playing a guy from Italy. Revelations, you're still playing that same character, right, but he's going to Constantinople, which is, I guess, the only exception to that rule. Um, we had AC Unity, where you play as a French guy. AC3, where you play as a Native American who's also half British. Um, AC3 Liberations, you have a African American slave, right? Um, what else was there? We have AC Origins, where we play as an Egyptian. So I guess the point being is that like when you really look into all of these games, right? It's just so strange that like most of them have a character from those regions or are from those parts of the world that at least would make sense for that time period, right? Whereas this game is going off of the fact that it's pretty clear that they're really only choosing Yasuke because, hey, Koei Tecmo did it. They made him popular. We could do it too. And all of a sudden, there's this like popularity surrounding this historical figure, which not much is known about the historical figure, right?
Unless you're a Twitter armchair enthusiast, then apparently there's so much information to go on.
or a revisionist who thinks that he is a samurai when he wasn't.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk about like how the a lot of people are trying to like say that people who are making the complaints towards Shadows, right? How they're wrong for making the complaints when games like Neo or Samurai Warriors 5 exist, or like the anime for Yasuke exist, as if this is somehow making the points that like we're making right now, right? Like somehow invalid.
Well, the thing to consider is that all
Mhm.
those things that you mentioned were pieces of fiction. They're not any way, shape, or form real or historically accurate, mind you. I mean, you could argue that the Yasuke anime might be historically accurate. I haven't seen it, and honestly, I haven't
Oh, it's
heard.
not.
No,
Yeah.
It's
because
not. It's very high It's
Okay.
extremely high fantasy.
Oh, so they had to go high fantasy for
Yeah,
the
it's
anime.
no, it's not. Not even the realm. Trust me.
Okay.
so
Yeah.
and here's the thing too, like because what people will say that say in retaliation to that, well, Assassin's Creed is also like high fantasy and it's also like fictional and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess I'll let James take this one because you were the one that pointed this out first and foremost.
For Yasuke's anime.
No, just the what every Assassin's Creed starts with before you even get to the intro.
Oh, that everything's a work of fiction and or not work of fiction. The team is made
Yeah.
of multicultural faiths and beliefs and all that crap that they always post on there.
Yeah, because in the beginning
Which
of
is why
that,
I don't which is why I don't agree when people say, "Oh, well, you know, like, there's Neo and stuff." Like, yeah, but they're not trying to be any form of historical accuracy. The only thing Neo has, and I'll just touch on that because there's so much stupid arguments over Neo because there's a white guy on the cover. Why was that okay? Because Williams Adams is a very documented person in history. We know who he is. He was an actual samurai. Like, we have real information on him, whereas Yasuke, we have like a paragraph and that's it.
well, and I would also say too, in regards to well, that intro or that disclaimer, right? It also starts
I'll
off
try and
with
find it.
yeah, because I know you were the one that posted that. It starts off by saying like, oh, well, this is based off of historical events, right, and people and locations, but this is a work of fiction, and that's fine and all, but Ubisoft and specifically the Assassin's Creed team, which is something that I mentioned while we were talking about that last night, is like this is a studio that likes to pride themselves on trying to be quote unquote historically accurate with a lot of their games, even if they are taking liberties with like their stories. And
There you
there we
go.
go. Yeah, inspired by historical events and characters, this work of fiction was designed, developed, and produced by a multicultural team of various religious faiths and beliefs, which yeah, like like I was saying though, like this is a team that has always kind of prided themselves on, or studio I should say, right? That has always prided themselves on trying to make Assassin's Creed games historically accurate, right? In terms of just how the locations look, how the characters dress, things of that nature,
It's always
and
been a good mix of fiction and nonfiction that they try to make it believable.
yeah,
I think, especially with if you remember how much Assassin's Creed 2 and onward, Ezio's trilogy had the Da Vinci stuff and all conspiracy theory stuff that links to real life events. That's the stuff
yeah.
they used to go for. So it was to give an air of believability, kind of like Deus Ex, where there's a lot of like conspiracy stuff that links into real life. It's the same concept.
It's it's also something to point out that Assassin's Creed 2, they had to cut out a crossbow for Ezio to use because at the time of Assassin's Creed 2 setting, it was not accurate to use a crossbow.
How times have changed, right?
Yeah?
Wait, you said for AC2?
Yeah.
I think that was
No,
for
that's
AC
AC
one.
1. No,
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed 1, they did
well,
not do the crossbow because it wasn't accurate to the time period.
well, they didn't introduce the crossbow in Assassin's Creed 2 until Brotherhood.
Yeah, I think I could have sworn, I know I'm sidetracking, but I could have sworn
Mm.
Altair had a crossbow in the CGI trailer. I think that's
Okay.
why they even made a comment to begin with, because people were asking, well, where is it?
Probably.
I believe that's the case. I'll have to go back on that and check.
Yeah, so you know, when Ubisoft is saying these things, and they even say it in one of their dev diaries that they posted alongside the announcement trailer, where like, oh yeah, we were trying to go for like all the like history that surrounds Japan and stuff like that, and we stumbled upon Yasuke, and not much is known about him, so therefore we thought he was a good character to make a game about, right? And I'm not saying that that necessarily is wrong to do, but what I am saying is that like the way they went about it is wrong when they also in the same breath within the first 40 seconds say that they could not have made a samurai based character who also embraces uh, you know shinobi teachings and things of that nature, which is completely like ridiculous when you take into consideration that there were samurai that also were shinobi, and one of the most famous examples is Hattori Hanzo, which they just completely ignore. Um, and it's kind of crazy because like the other character Naue, the female character that you can play as in this game, is from the same village as Hattori Hanzo. So it's kind of crazy that they didn't just make Hanzo the second playable character if they had to make two playable characters, which honestly I don't really think they had to make two playable characters, but that's a whole nother story.
I
They said
agree.
that they could
Should
they
have
could
just been
not.
one.
They mentioned that they said that they couldn't balance between samurai style and shinobi style, so they had to split those gameplay mechanics into two characters.
I understand why they said that. They're not a Sucker Punch who has actual talent and does all the work and actually puts in the effort to making it work.
Oh yeah, a game did come out where you can't do that. It's called
Yeah,
Tsushima or Tsushima.
that's crazy. Hell,
Mm.
even in Neo, you can do a mix of samurai and shinobi skills, and they can blend together into a build. So, yeah, Koei did it as well, technically.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, like, well, it's actually not even so much that like that improbable in terms of how they could have done it because like other games have already done it, right? I kind of understand the logic. It's just that the wording that they went with is what's really hurting them in this regard because like I think what they're trying to say is like, okay, well, like we wanted to have a samurai character who would act more like aggressive or brutish or whatever, right? So it's fitting for anybody who likes to like not really take stealth gameplay into consideration. So basically for the people that enjoy the combat from like Odyssey and Valhalla, for example. And then for the people that like stealth for like things like Mirage and some of the older Assassin's Creed games that can play as Naue, right? On paper, that makes sense, right? But I think the biggest problem here in this case is that they decided, hey, like, we are going to just split this into two different characters when this could have easily been put into one character that embraces both combat styles. I don't know why they felt the need to make two, and maybe it's because of the fact that this is also coming in from the same team that made Syndicate. But at the end of the day, really, it's like they're just trying to put in like an I don't know how you would say it, like maybe like an arbitrary like system to basically force you to play two characters, essentially.
I think they wanted to go in on stealth, but saw that Mirage didn't sell enough, so they had to use Yasuke as a secondary character, or as a secondary protagonist, rather.
You're saying Mirage didn't sell as well?
Yeah,
Interesting. I didn't keep up with the sales, so I wouldn't know.
We have sales numbers for Mirage?
I have no idea. That's why I'm asking. Like I have no idea if it is or not. Also, hi. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself really
yeah.
quick?
Introduce yourself.
No, I will not. I'm random.
Well, you're not Brandon, but yeah.
Yeah, you're not Brandon. Not yet.
Well, since you're here, do you wanna say some things about Shadows?
Shadows, what can I say? I mean, for the most part, it's getting better marketing than any other AC because of the whole Yasuke thing. So I guess as a advertising wise, they've done good because it's people's favorite topic to tackle, which shall be not named here because I don't want to go into it. But as as far as the settings and all that goes, they have a gold mine that apparently they seem to refuse to capitalize on. But they do have two protagonists, and the other one I don't know much about. So they might do something good with that. But AC is not suffering from any of that. AC suffering has been over the years, over how much it has drifted away from what it actually was, and how much
Like since Odyssey.
Even before that, ever since the OG trilogy ended, well, not trilogy, but ever since 3 ended, it kept losing more and more of itself until it became completely something different. And that's why you got games like Odyssey where they were not even supposed to be Assassin's Creed. They just did it just to pass it off, right?
Yeah.
And then they end up releasing what it's actually meant to be. And honestly, if they do keep some of the charms that the original Ezio trilogy and like Altair and all that to have was the fact that you actually do feel like a big shot. In Altair's case, you were this like top of the line assassin, which got demoted because of bullshit. But that's kind of the plot of it. It's the injustice of that thing. And Ezio, where you literally start as a kid, and you end up being a master assassin. You're buying real estate. You're collecting all these like items that show in your hideouts and stuff. They kind of got rid of those stuff, so like collecting items and such became just a collectathon of chores. There's no showcase for them anymore. Instead, just go into your menu to access them. Weapons don't mean anything because it's just a bunch of stats in your inventory just laying there. As soon as you get something better, you don't touch it. Right? Same with armor. But I feel like those are the charms that AC is missing. In case of Connor and Ezio and Brotherhood, it was that when you recruit people and train them to be part of the Brotherhood, that made you feel like you were the guy. You were the assassin. You're the head of all this, like things that are in motion that's happening. We haven't had that. We had a couple of fucking. What do we have? So far we had Edward, which he doesn't even like become an assassin or attempt to be one. Till like what, sequence 9?
Yeah,
Yes.
like the last thing
Literally
of the game.
sequence before the final part of the game.
The first 7 sequences are literally just a tutorial. So.
Now, Assassin's Creed 3 is faster. Like, at least you get the robes.
It kind of breaks my heart to say this, but as much as I despise Unity, I think Unity had the one protagonist that was kind of, like, had his heart in being an assassin helping Brotherhood. Because Jacob was, he was not in it. Evie was in it a little bit more, but Jacob wasn't. So that's one of the protagonists.
Jacob just wanted to be a gang member.
Yeah, he wanted to be a gangster.
Same with at least with oh, I forgot his name. The guy in Origins. Oh my God.
Bayek.
Bayek. At least with Bayek, it's the Origins, right? So you see how it's all forming. But they devalue that by going into Odyssey, which they decide to even do all that further back and stuff. Which
Odyssey
has its own problems. AC has not been the same, and I feel like if they with Japanese Artifact, they have a lot of chances to rectify all that charm that they've lost. But I think all that charm is going into the shop instead. So.
Oh yeah, because you already have a season pass. They haven't shown gameplay, right? We have.
They have a statue, a collector's edition. Like they got some pair on them for that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, because like I know some of you all have already seen like the physical editions they've announced for the game, but they also have digital editions, right? So technically, there's like 6 different ways they're trying to screw you over on this game, right?
With that 8, because apparently there's 4 editions.
There's 4. Oh, okay.
4.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So yeah, it's like Yeah,
I
I
can get
just
those, by the way.
okay, yeah.
Don't forget those pesky pre-order
Oh,
bonuses.
oh, because the Ubisoft Plus edition. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
even. Jeez,
Or,
like
Ultimate Edition is included with day one Ubisoft Plus.
yeah.
So if you want the Ultimate Edition, just pay that $18 a month.
Yeah, so you can never own your game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even have to go into that for the most part. That's literally
Mhm.
just not even about the game. That's just Ubisoft's decision, most part. That's a
Ooh,
different.
that's a nice armor. That'll be 19.99, please.
Yeah, you don't actually need a price
$130.
tag for it. Funny enough,
What?
that is the actual price tag for stuff like that in the shop. If you look at pretty much any of their shop,
Mm.
it's
I
usually
was
from like
joking.
$15 to $20 of.
He,
Yeah, if you want to get the standalone armor, it's less, but that's why they give you a bundle for this.
he's yeah, he's absolutely right because like I don't know if did you play Valhalla? I don't recall if you did or not.
I did. James has. I'm pretty sure has not.
I have not.
Okay, yeah, I know James hasn't. So like, and I don't know if Eli, if you have it all.
Yeah, I did, but I never finished it.
Okay, yeah, because
Shocker.
yeah, because Valhalla in particular, I haven't played Odyssey, but I'm assuming it's also the case in Odyssey where you have a bunch of cosmetic stuff, right? And they start selling them to you in packs, and the packs cost like anywhere from like 15 to $20 or whatever, right? Um, of course, that varies in price in terms of bundle and stuff like that too. And then on top of that, um, they'll give you like pity pity loot boxes that will give you just a random piece from any one of those bundles that they sell. So like they assume that you're going to, if you're not paying for anything, that is, you're going to just keep playing the game until you just randomly get something out of one of their pity loot boxes.
Mm.
So I was just gonna say too, like, because I know you were talking earlier about like getting like the different armors and weapons and stuff like that, and yeah, I absolutely agree in that like they lost that kind of sense of reward from getting that stuff because you remember how like you actually have to collect like pieces around the world, right, and go into these like hidden temples and like altars and shrines, right, just to find the
Yep.
pieces.
And you had a stance in your hideout showcasing your achievements. That it's little not no different from looking at your trophy list or like anything like that. You literally had a hideout. Like every book you bought, every single painting you bought, every weapon you collected, every armor you collected had a specific stand for it, and it was optimized in a way to know like which one is the biggest achievement out of those, which one was harder to acquire, and that had like a sense of I went through all this and I have all this now. It made you feel in the game that you were actually making some type of power progress. You were getting better as like in Brotherhood and to an extent in two, you had the whole real estate thing where you could buy pieces of
Hmm.
shops and parts of towns and they gave you discount based on it because you own it,
And
right? It makes
Revelations
sense.
actually too. Yeah, now that
Yeah,
I think about
Revelations
it.
Hey,
had that too.
Revelation session on that.
I always forget about that game, even though it's pretty much a copy paste of Brotherhood, which is fine. And that felt really good. And again, the recruitment thing was just really great because it made you feel what it would be if you were ahead of the Master Assassins. Like you
Uh,
were it.
yeah, and going off of that, like, because I don't think like Shadows is gonna replicate anything like that. Because like even when they try to do like the recruit system and every time they've done it after Revelations, it's been really like watered down or just nowhere near as good. I think.
They had
Um,
it in three, which was very like it was practically have you having like random NPCs
Yeah, it was
almost.
very bare bones, I think, because
Yeah.
like you had less amount of recruits, and the recruits also didn't get any of the assassins' robes. Um,
It literally pulled up. Would you like the job starting now?
oh boy, would
I
I?
In Assassin's Creed 3, I remember like they put a lot of emphasis on crafting and hunting,
Yeah,
which then carried over into Black Flag.
which like in regards to that game, I didn't have an issue with it. I didn't have an issue with it in Origins either because I felt like it made sense in those games, right?
Origins felt
Uh,
like you had to, or else you'd be underleveled.
Yeah, but like I feel like it made sense in the context of who you were playing as.
Yeah,
I
it
feel so like, and I think that's kind of the other issue with like Shadows is that like I could get behind the female character Naoe, right? Because she's from Japan, she's from Iga Village, right? Um, so and she has like ties to one historical figure I forget the name of, and so like her significance to what's going on is like I feel like far greater than what Yasuke's would be. So at least in that regard, like I do think that there's a potential for the story to be okay, right? Like I don't like I said before, like I don't want to say that like hey, this game is just automatically bad just because Yasuke is playable. But I do think that there's like the writing here is very much seeming like they're going about this in a way where they're trying to push Yasuke not because he's an interesting historical figure, but because of the fact that he's black. So like, and I'm concerned that like because him becoming an assassin in this game, right? Like they're just not gonna have like that charm that like a lot of these other characters have had, or like that significance to like what is going on in the story, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I do hope we at least see someone like a Toy Hanzo in this game.
That is a crime on itself, not having Hattori Hanzo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
The
best case
blueprints are there. There's like a billion people in Japan that could have used that are famous figures that were either samurai or ninja, and they said, no, we want the random, obscure one black guy that came over for like, I don't know, brownie points. Pun
By
intended.
Portuguese missionaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll give them some credit. Oh, I'm not going to give them credit. I will say this. If they would like to portray how things were back then, especially for black folks and with the Portuguese, if they want to tackle that part of history, you know what? I'll actually give it a pass. I know they're not going to because they're cowards. And the character's literally just there so they could be like, look at our modern day politics, guys. That's literally the only reason why he's here. And the dev diaries didn't help either because there's a lot of information, as we said before, that they expose that they have no idea what they're talking about.
I do not trust the team to portray Yasuke as anything but genuine.
something else that I kind of want to talk about too is just not so much the characters, but like the kind of weapons that they're using in Shadows, right? And I kind of wanted to focus on the female protagonist because this is something that kind of bugged me in some of their other AC games too. Whenever they would have like katanas, is that they would always feature them with some kind of like engraving or like really stupid looking design. I'm gonna have to find the actual like screen cap. Oh, there we go. So this one here is Naoi, right? This render, and like they put in an engraving onto the sword, right? And I feel like that's just so like it's just so westernized, like
it looks cool. Like if we remove it from its context, it's a cool looking sword,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like a ninja would want to stand out, and this blade design definitely stands out.
mhm.
Also, I know because katanas are cool, and I agree, but I don't think Shinobi would just opt for the katana immediately. I'm pretty sure they would use like a tanto or something more
Or
discreet,
Wakizashi.
stealth. Yeah, stealth.
Yeah.
At
So
least they want to be historical. I don't think all Shinobi just pulled up with a katana and just said, "Yeah, I got him. He's dead." That's it.
so to be fair, in the trailer, Naoi wasn't just using the sword; she was also using the hidden blade, and her hidden blade, they're calling it like the Tanto style hidden blade. Take that.
Isn't
for
it
what
literally
you will.
just the hook blade?
No, it's not the hook blade. It's the swivel blade that Connor had in 3. Which I mean, I'm down for. Like I don't hate that.
I'm fine with
Like
that.
I
Yeah.
feel like
That works.
I feel like alternate like hidden blade styles, that's one thing I really wish they would have done more in this franchise. So like, hey, I'm for that. If they were to do something where like, hey, maybe in this game, maybe in the next one, I don't know, where they start having the characters using multiple different styles of hidden blades from the various Assassin's Creed games, right? I wouldn't take an issue with it per se. So you know, it is what it is. They did mention in the other dev diary that like certain things now I can do from a gameplay perspective, like use like grappling hooks to like scale walls in different ways that Yasuke can't, and Yasuke could just take more damage and stuff like that because he's, you know, supposed to be a samurai in this game. So from at least from a gameplay perspective, like I do think that like as much as the history is completely inaccurate in this case, right? Like I do think that they have like the potential to make it at least a somewhat interesting game. Because I'm very like, you know, despite some of the grievances, right? Like I am kind of split on like how I'm gonna feel about this game because on the one hand, like yeah, it doesn't seem like it's gonna be the worst thing in the world. Like it seems like it might be decent enough, right? Like now he's gonna use like a Kasurigama, and like Yasuke is gonna use like a you know, like a Japanese style club, which I forget if it was called the
Kanabo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one of those.
So like, hey, cool. Like from a gameplay like sense, right? I don't think that this game is gonna be bad. It's just how they're handling the history. I think that's the bigger issue that I'm taking with.
Also, really don't trust any
think-
of the writing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the problem is we know how Ubisoft is, and we know they didn't just coincidentally pick Yasuke for any other reason than just his skin color. That's it.
And
We
his
know why they
popularity.
picked him. They're not. Yeah, because he's feels more mythical, even though he is
Yeah.
like a real person. He has such a myth around him.
Well,
So
and
I'd love to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, that'd be fun to do. If this was Ubisoft from like 15 years ago, it would probably end up being more genuine feeling. But knowing how they are now and how overly and obnoxiously involved in politics they are, we have a pretty good idea why they did it.
and I was also gonna say too with Yasuke, I'm not sure if you guys have been aware of this, but like he also gets confused by another person of the same name who was known to bring kimonos into Africa. So I don't know. I just like there's a possibility that they might lead that route where like by the end he leaves Japan. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying that like it's I don't
I
know
am
how
curious
they're
how they'll
gonna
handle that.
I don't know how
Maybe
they're
he's
gonna
just
handle
the
story,
African
right?
assassins.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah. Also, one other thing too, and I really hope that this isn't just a thing from like the box art because you know like they could do box art to make it look cool, right? But like I'm really hoping that this is not like the only thing that these characters can wear, like in terms of like the style of armor and clothing that they get. Like I hope that like you know just to be somewhat optimistic, right, and not just completely shit on this game because I don't want to just throw it under the bus completely. Like I would hope that like Yasuke could get like assassin's robes too. That you know might have like more of the like samurai like armor aesthetic if he is, you know, since that's going to be his play style, that I should say. And also too like because this is something that I've complained about in multiple Assassin's Creed games because I fucking hate when they do this for every game with the exception of Origins, being that there is no beaked hood. You know, the iconography of the characters like aesthetic is just not there, and that I think that's another thing that like maybe even like Arian would probably agree with on is that like the stuff that makes Assassin's Creed isn't really in Assassin's Creed anymore.
It's not. They've lost more and more of it every iteration.
They did bring it back from Mirage.
Not really. They literally just did like the fact that they made Eagle Vision be an ability that you have to get, and it's super weak now. It's like if you want to have it active, you have to slow walk, or like you can only have it active for like a little bit, or it just pulses and just reveals like items and stuff around you. That just means that they're just doing generic stuff that open world games do, and not what they already had. The foundation they had, they completely buried it themselves in order to make like a Witcher clone or any other thing you can think of.
Yeah.
Which is what Origins was. Complete Witcher clone.
Yeah, and well, and since we're kind of talking about Mirage, because I know I'm pretty certain you guys talked about this when they just did the teaser announcement for this, while they also announced Mirage and all those other Assassin's Creed projects. In that this game was supposed to be an RPG, or in the style of like the RPG Assassin's Creeds, whereas Mirage was going to be the stealth game, right? And I feel like they really got this backwards, unless if that's changed over time and they decided to just focus more on the stealth based stuff, but I'm not really sure.
Well, if they gave us some gameplay, we could figure that out.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Instead of CG trailer.
Yeah, and just word of mouth from developers, right, that we clearly cannot trust.
I genuinely, I know why the companies do it, because they advertise and make the game look cool, but I'm really sick of CGI trailers. They're worthless. They're a waste of development money. It's just an attempt to advertise to people. Just give them the gameplay. It does the same job, much cheaper.
So I would agree if it's only a CGI trailer, like Ubisoft is known to do for most of their trailers, where they open up with a CG one before even showing off actual gameplay. Because Ubisoft is very, very guilty of doing just CGI trailers, which is why a lot of people were very upset with the original Watch Dogs, right?
Notoriously downgrading their games from what they look like in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, I don't think you say Watch Dogs. I say Rainbow Six broke my heart the most. That game looks so cool when they first showed it off, and then it's not even remotely like that. It looks like a high-end PS3 game when it came out.
Yeah, yeah, well, Rainbow Six is another, like, actually probably an even better example, just because like the game that we were promised is clearly not the game that we have even now with all the like patches and stuff like that, right? Yep. So yeah, it's I don't know, because they're showing off a lot of like the CG gameplay, right? It's clear that you're not gonna be doing all this high paced, like really cool like action based stuff. No, your fucking character is getting bopped because they don't know how to balance these games too. So
I'll probably stab them. They'll glitch out, stand up, look at me, and then fall over.
yes, or you'll somehow fall through the floorboard and end up on like the other side of the map. Or yeah, you'll desync. Yeah, and or even better, you'll go to the skybox after jumping the wrong way, right? Like
you'll get hit in the wrong animation and then get launched into the air.
Yeah, like I mean, I play these games honestly just at this point to see how I can break them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you went into the most glitches, I know.
Yeah, I don't know how you got that thing. I don't know how you got that thing in, like, what was it, AC2, where you got like 50 clones of one guy coming at you?
Yeah, I think that was like a known bug in AC2, where like if sometimes if you like stab a guy or whatever, they'll just start multiplying. I had that happen to me, I think twice. He was multiplying so much that like he was still multiplying after I completed the mission and went back into that area because I had to like cross through for like the next like quest. So yeah, it just, I mean, that's what I play these games for. I just want to see how much I can break them. So I don't buy these games day one. So it's like, for me, like, even the price, like, yeah, I know they're gonna charge like almost $300 for these games, right? But like, I'm not too like bugged about it, just because of the fact that I'm just gonna wait for when the most like highest end edition is gonna be on sale for like $20.
I am pleased to see in a lot of the comments for these trailers, a lot of people are saying, yeah, it's Ubisoft. Remember, no pre-orders.
Yeah.
No pre-orders.
Oh, so can we talk about also the potential of how Ubisoft would react to people either heavily criticizing this game, choosing one character over the other, or giving this game negative reviews, um, because it might not actually be a good game, right?
I think
Yeah.
we have to hold off until we see the gameplay side of things.
Mhm.
But if anybody complains that, you know, if they say, oh, well, people didn't like Yasuke, they'll just say you're racist, because obviously you can't have any actual critique on a character if they're black. So that's apparently how things work now.
At least on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Even
it on
if we're
people are
well,
not
gone.
withstanding actual criticism. Everybody's angry over the fact that, oh, you're saying that Yasuke shouldn't be the protagonist because he's black, even though he existed. Meanwhile, that's not even the argument most people are putting. They're saying you could have had better characters. Japan has a lot of characters that you could have used, and Yasuke is
Mm-hmm.
not very well developed. And maybe that's their strategy. It's because it's a vague character, so they can twist a lot of historical things that happen, but I think we all know that that's not Ubisoft's actual plan.
No, they
They
only want the clout.
they've done they haven't done historical accuracy since Brotherhood. I'm gonna even go as far as to say Revelations wasn't that great either when it came to it.
Hmm.
So it's mostly for the clout, most likely.
I would, because I was talking with Brandon about this a little bit too, and I would suspect that how they would react is if they had like, because he was the one that mentioned this too, like, I wonder if they're gonna have like a percentage counter to see who played which character more.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like saying, like, so are they gonna do this thing where, like, okay, if nobody or like a majority of the players played Naoi, right, regardless of how Yasuke is portrayed, if he's portrayed in a really not so great way, right, because of their shit writing, are they gonna say that people are racist because they didn't pick Yasuke at all, or whatever the case may be, even though it could be like a thing of like his gameplay might suck ass, right?
Look,
On the
we
flip
picked a
side,
female. What else do you want from us?
I was gonna say, on
Yeah.
the flip side, right? Are they gonna say, well, you're sexist because you didn't play as the female character, right?
They very much well might do that.
so it's so it's like, so which is the right choice? You know what I mean? Like,
The right choice is not to play.
Based on what they've done, they just changed the canon based on the most popular character usually. So
Pretty much.
yeah,
I mean,
they
they've done it
they did
before.
that with Valhalla and Odyssey, but as far as I know with this game, because as far as I know, this game was being developed by the developers that worked on Syndicate. So as far as I know, both of these characters are supposed to be canon.
yeah,
I don't
the
know.
same switch they did for both Odyssey and Valhalla.
Oh, I know they did it. Well, actually, in Valhalla they did it with a comic. I don't know how they did it with the Odyssey in particular.
It's just very lazy that they can't write one interesting character. They need two, and it just overcomplicates things more than it helps.
And we already had a game that did one character.
Also, I like that they always have to do, we have one boy and one girl. I'm like, why do we always do this? We gotta have both things just to have it just shoveled in. Like, it's so disingenuous and fake to me.
It's no other road.
Well, so here's the thing
Just
that
make one character.
here's
I
the
don't
thing that
understand why it's hard.
here's the thing that I would argue that they should probably do, even though I know they can't really write well written characters anymore. Is that I think it would just be safer to make the character be fully like created by the player, like they're doing with the mobile game Assassin's Creed Jade. Because that in that game you could just completely create your own character, so like it has no bearing on like on anything really. And I feel like that would be the safer option because then nobody can complain, right? You make your own character, you play how you want to play, and there you go, right?
You change your sex and race?
As far as I know, yeah.
No, they won't like that. You know why? So like 90% of the whole thing is gonna be, oh, people bait a bunch of white men. We don't want that. How uncultured of you know how these weirdos are. They're gonna do it.
Yeah,
Or there wasn't enough females, and if you make a girl, she better be black or something and not white. Like we know how this is gonna go.
yeah.
Same routine.
I'll go on, Aaron.
I was gonna say it has been a trend of them trying to force you as what to play. Could be the whole reason why they don't add like character creation. Like you're gonna add multiple characters anyway. Just at that point, just do a character creation. Just fully dedicated to making an RPG at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like, because they already do character like choices and stuff like that, and like alternate like story dialogues. That's like, and some of that dialogue I think impacts the missions that you get too, or like how those missions play out at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
like,
agree.
because of the way that they already do that, that's why I'm suggesting that it would be better that they do just a fully created character, because they're already doing that in Assassin's Creed Jade, the mobile game, right? So, which that game is like not necessarily accurately titled either, because you're not even playing an assassin again, which I don't think they said outright if either of the characters are a part of the assassins. Which is another kind of another issue too, is like this identity crisis of we have a lot of these games now coming out where they're just it's an Assassin's Creed game, but you don't play as an assassin or a Templar for that matter, right?
I've been bitching about this for like 10 years.
Like, and don't get me wrong, like I really enjoyed Rogue, because that was a kind of a different take where you play as a assassin gone rogue and who joins the Templars, right? So I thought that was a kind of interesting idea. Like, why don't you do more of that, right? Because if you really just want to do like more stories where you don't play as the assassins, that would be the way to do it, right? Or vice versa, because we haven't had a like story about a Templar going assassin, but I do think that there were characters in I think it was the Brotherhood multiplayer that where they went from being a Templar to assassin.
I don't dwell much into the multiplayer side of AC at all.
That's fair. But I guess my point is that, like, if you're trying to do something different, right, instead of just doing the thing that they've been doing recently where like, oh, your character just happens to work with the assassins but they're not really assassins, or in the case of Odyssey it's the prequel to the prequel. So we're gonna have a character that predates the assassins.
Yeah.
And then they had to fix it in the DLC for Odyssey.
Yeah.
I found it very silly that they made an origin point and they just completely undermined it by making another origin point
Yeah.
immediately after.
We know they don't know what they're doing, and I feel like they've been, as you said, I feel like they lost their way after AC3, and now they're kind of in this Call of Duty type of spiral where it's a big money maker, so we just got to keep hooping them out, and we just have no idea what stories to do anymore because we didn't plan for this.
They were yearly releases until Syndicate happened. Well, Unity released in a very buggy state. Then Syndicate was came out the following year. Then they had to take a year off to release Origins.
They're just suffering from the problem of it's a money, like I said, it's a cash cow, but we just don't have like any way to innovate this series anymore. We're just kind of praying people like it and keep buying them.
And they will.
Somewhat. I think
Yeah.
AC is still making the money, but it's not. I don't think it's quite as much as it once was.
Like I know the casual markets are still gonna get this
I
one because it's Japan.
I think that you're still gonna have those casuals that are just always gonna be dedicated regardless of what happens,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because
But
those are the same people that like basically enable Ubisoft to do these kinds of things, right? But at the same time, right? I do think that like that dwindling interest of because I do see that in the community a lot of like diehard AC fans where they're just like, yeah, I'm just kind of sick and tired of what Ubisoft is doing because they've ultimately altered the gameplay so much that it's like barely recognizable from what it started out as. Because even if the story is ass, right? Like the I'm not saying that they should release a game that doesn't have a good story, right? But like the core gameplay being so radically different, right, also isn't helping. And
no, it's not.
at least in Shadow's case, right, we haven't seen the gameplay yet, so there's still some like benefit of doubt, right, where like the gameplay might actually not be that bad,
I
but
hope
it
it
could.
doesn't play anything like Mirage, because Mirage is very rock paper scissor and it's incredibly boring.
Oh really?
Combat, yeah, it's snooze fest.
Yeah, because I only
So
got 2 minutes into it, and or not 2 minutes, 2 hours into it through that trial, so I didn't really get to experience it per se because that 2 hours is mostly cutscenes.
yeah, that's why I skipped all the dialogue so I can actually play the game.
Mm.
Mhm.
I
If I
know
see
what you
someone,
mean, Arian. AC Mirage is obviously a return to form that we've been waiting for.
no, they just said that, and all they did was combine the aesthetic of the old, quote unquote, old games, but it was just Valhalla in a worse shape, gameplay wise.
Well, and you know it was supposed to be an expansion for Valhalla originally, right?
Yeah, that game was kind of sent out to die, but they spun the whole, hey, it's the old school style. So now they have the excuse that, hey, it didn't sell, so I guess you guys truly don't want this. Ubisoft
Yeah.
was infamous for doing that.
That's what I was getting at earlier about Ubisoft thinking that Mirage would perform poorly, and that's why that they have to go back to making something in the style of Valhalla.
Also, I'm not sure if they tried to do this or not, but it kind of comes off as them, like almost like they wanted to play off, like this game as like, or not this game, but like with Mirage, right? That like, oh, these games like for the base edition now moving forward, they're gonna be like $50 instead of 60 or 70 or eight.
Mm.
Lo and behold, they turn around with Shadows and they're like, nah, nah, hold my beer. We got you on
Well,
these price hikes.
I think they advertised Mirage would be like a budget game.
That if it's going to be a lower price game.
Yeah.
And it was, but that's it was actually an overpriced DLC. So at the end of the day, they still robbed you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you pay for a day one, that is.
It's like they knew what they were doing. They willingly did it, and they'll do it again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's why, like, like with Shadows, like, yeah, they can show me all the nice, pretty gameplay, right? Even if it looks really good, really interesting, um, I am fairly certain that it's going to be a buggy mess, right? And I'm also hi Brandon. I'll introduce you in a second. But like, yeah, I'm just expecting it to be the type of game where like it will be fairly mediocre as an Assassin's Creed game, or maybe even as a samurai game, right? And the only thing that really is going to be justifiable as far as like getting it is wait for a sale, right? When it's like dirt cheap on that highest edition, when all the bug fixes come out after like a year or two, right? Because at that point, yeah, it's still going to be a buggy Ubisoft mess, but at least you didn't get a day one where it's at its worst, right?
Yep.
Also, while I'm talking here, why don't we go ahead and introduce our final guest, Sir Brandel. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, fuck it. I mean, hey, how you guys doing? I'm
Not
here
bad.
for some reason.
So, since you're here, do you want to kind of share your thoughts on Shadows? Like some of the things we've talked about already was just like, Yasuke being a playable protagonist. We've talked a little bit about like the kit that the characters are going to be rocking. Um, Also, like just price points for this game, given that there's like so many different editions.
Alright, now I'm gonna start with the price point. Some of these fuckers are absolutely awkward. I'm gonna say, and I don't want to get you demonetized. These fuckers literally charging you what, nearly $200 for this shit? That's insane.
Ridiculous. I agree. That's the word.
130, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And the collector's.
What?
You're thinking of the collector's edition. That's like $300.
even so, that's pretty expensive for a collector's edition. Like, what are you getting? And how big is the statue? If it is one.
Yeah, you
Not
do
big
get a
enough to
statue,
justify
but...
$300.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the best I could say for that.
I'll
I'll find
I'll,
it unless you already posted it.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
find it for you. Yeah, I got you.
I agree with Spyro.
This is outrageous. So if you want to play the game at the lowest price possible, sign up for Ubisoft Plus day one.
Yeah, so
I'm sure there's people falling for this scam too with them.
It's literally $18, right? I'm like, at that point, if you want to try the game out, that's a steal and a scam.
More like you pay plus, haha.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
The
how much-
statue's
wait.
neat, but yeah, that's about it.
I mean, it looks pretty standard. Like, what, nearly $300. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't think this would be worth it.
Yeah, I don't see what's
Yeah.
$300 worth in this whole package.
You
know
got a
what?
katana.
They factor in.
What the fuck?
I think I know why. Because they factor in the ultimate edition. Because that's what you're getting with the stuff, right? So they're
Yeah.
definitely price hiking.
Okay, well, if it's ultimate, it was what, $130?
Yep.
$130. Yep.
Okay,
So
so
it's
where's the other
actually-
half of that coming from?
I think it's
They think
coming
the
from the
statue's worth
statue,
that
the
much?
tuba, the scroll, the map, the art book, and the lithographs that you get. So, and the steel book, right? I think that's where most of that pricing is coming from, but it's still a pretty steep price for a collector's edition. I don't even remember if like some of the previous AC collector's editions cost this much. You know
what's funny?
Oh,
When I was trying to find the real quick, when I was trying to find like the pre-order stuff earlier,
yeah.
I was having trouble finding it because like every other AC has like a million pre-order tiers, so I just kept finding every other Assassin's Creed except Shadows, like the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say too, like, I don't necessarily think that the nearly $300 price is justifiable, and I can guarantee you, because I've seen this happen before with other Assassin's Creed collector's editions, like Origins, for example, where over time, people start trading that stuff in because they end up not liking the game, or they just don't care that much to have it. It's just like a thing that they buy for the time being, or whatever, right? They trade it in, and then you could get it for like a fraction of the price. Like it might go on sale for like $70, right? And I'm pretty certain too that there have been instances of these like collector's editions also going on sale for brand new for like a fraction of what they were originally going for, which again is kind of like another thing of like, why pay day one for an Assassin's Creed game? So but yeah,
Brandon looking like Twitter right now. Nice.
But yeah, like as far as like everything else is concerned, Brandon, did you want to go ahead and like share your thoughts on that really quick?
Yeah. All right. So I did not get a chance to see the trailer before I went to bed or had to leave. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to judge that yet. But as far as Yasuke being the main protagonist, though, or at least one of them, interesting, but I feel like this feels more disingenuous. You know,
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Like-
not genuine.
Yep. Yep.
that's more my issue. Is like, okay, fine, you're gonna have Yasuke playable, right? But same time though, we have a game set in Japan, right? They have not done this with any other AC game. It's pretty appropriate for the other games to have have this character, have this white man, have this Italian man, have this uh whatever type race he is. But to take away a spot for let's say a male Japanese character in favor of the black man is like feels weird. Doesn't feel genuine at all, to be quite frank. And
I feel
considering
racially
this-
appropriated.
And considering that this is done by the Syndicate team, right? Because they did the male and female character, where the male is like the brute of the two, and the female is more stealthy, which is funny because there's usually the other way around. Males are more stealthier, but hey, whatever.
Real life.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you?
Let's not get into that.
Yeah, let's we'll cut that out.
let it, I don't know if I'll cut that out. I don't really care, you know.
Hold on.
All right. Well, to give a serious answer though, like I'm not against him being important or against being playable, but I hope the game itself justifies him being the main star. Because I had a conversation with Dom the other day about this, in DMs about like they could have just had was it Hanzo was it
Yeah.
or whoever it was Dom
Yeah.
could have had
Hanzo
him take the role of both the samurai and the ninja the same exact way that Ghost of Tsushima done it. Instead of just wasting their time making two playable characters, they could consolidate all those resources into one and have it either you pick your poison, your playstyle, or just have missions that are dedicated towards you could do whatever the fuck you want. You could brute force it with this particular mission, or you have to stealth it with this one, like something.
Also, just going off of that too, because I completely forgot to mention this earlier, but like, through history, like they also mentioned too that like towards the end of Hanzo's life, he ended up actually asking his son to take on the responsibilities for some of his later assignments. So they easily could have made like, I don't want to necessarily say like DLC, but like even potentially like a standalone game based off of that, or like even like a two-parter, if you will. But I don't think we'll ever get the AC2 treatment for an Assassin's Creed game ever again, unless if it gets taken away by Ubisoft and rebooted.
No, dude. 1 and 2, to my recollection, the only games that actually had direct sequels that weren't like based on a saga. So like you got the Kenway saga, which is 3 different characters. You got Connor, you got his granddad, and you got Shay.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Ezio, he got a trilogy of trilogies. And also, yeah, he got his own little sequels and spin-offs still on the PSP and other platforms. So like, yeah, we're never going to get a direct sequel ever again for a game, which is a shame.
Yeah, probably
like,
not.
They could capitalize and fix certain issues with a game, the basic product, a sequel. But hey, there's Ubisoft. They want to make slot games.
They want to make a game where you can just explore a huge open map and have the story be like at the back seat.
Yeah, and then we were also talking a little bit about the gear, just to kind of, because like I was saying, like I didn't want to just throw this game under the bus for whatever like historical inaccuracies that Ubisoft and the developers have kind of had with this game, because like I had mentioned before, and I know I brought this up to you, where like one of the dev diaries like only 40 seconds in, and they already prove that there's like they don't know what they're talking about, and they've got this completely wrong, right? And I do want to like talk about some benefit of the doubt in terms of this game, is in regards of like, okay, like the gameplay could be interesting because of like the kit that the characters have. Like Naue, the female character, she's got like the hidden blade in the style of like Connor, right? And she's shown using like a Kusurigama and like Wakizashi and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Yasuke is shown using like more heavy weapons. So
I'm gonna go Unga Bunga.
Boonga, boonga.
Down. Oh, the black guy telling you that he's going on Gabuga.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. Uncle Bugger.
That's been our in joke for like almost a month.
uh,
Back the monkey.
but yeah, like yeah, I don't know. Like I think the kit for the characters is interesting. Like I feel like there is, despite whatever grievances that we might have from like a historical standpoint, right? Like the game can still have that potential, but we have to see the gameplay, right?
Yeah, they didn't show gameplay, right?
That's correct.
It's typical Ubisoft to show a CGI trailer or something, right? And it's like, here, pre-order and you get all this right away. I'm like, you didn't show the game off yet.
Yeah.
I at least hope that the parrying is at least satisfying, because that they did mention that Yasuke would be able to perform parries.
Okay, I gotta ask though, from a gameplay standpoint, what do you hope that Ubisoft would do? Because me personally, I hope it's not Valhalla.
Oh god.
No,
yeah.
we're going to get Valhalla.
Okay,
I am like 1000% certain that Yasuke's part of the game is going to be Valhalla, while Naoe's part of the game is going to be Mirage.
Yeah, more or less.
That's
Because
the most like possible outcome for that side.
that
But
like the way that they've described it so far, that's what it comes off as, right? Mind you, I could be completely wrong, but I don't think I will be because this is Ubisoft. So
they did mention that you can seamlessly change between the two, so it'll be like syndicates on the fly changing.
hmm.
I don't believe it.
Well, that's what they said. So
If I could go for like a perfect combat, it would honestly be like in between Brotherhood and Revelations.
yeah,
But
I
I'd be lying if I like don't say that. I really liked Odyssey's combat style, but that combat style relies on something that is definitely the farthest from AC is. So
Mhm.
I'd be
That's
happy to
why I
have Force combat because they fixed it up in 3. It's much closer to what
Yeah.
2 Brotherhood and Revelations was.
yeah, it was you go on a kill streak, you're unstoppable, and like it was pretty fun. But yeah, the most likely situation might be that it's gonna be Mirage and Valhalla combined.
Oh,
yeah, we're never gonna get the combat from the old games again.
well,
Or
that
Unity.
too,
Yeah, Unity had decent combat.
I haven't played Unity yet, so I can't comment on that one.
Unity is a game where did you get it for free on PC? Because I'd be happy to
I
play it
did.
with you. Okay, yeah, because
I
like
got it on PC and PS4. I had the game on 2 platforms, so like, just haven't got around to playing it.
bet because I haven't finished it on PC, so I'd be willing to play it with you. But like Unity is that one game where like as more and more of these AC games come out, I've started to notice like more and more of a cult following for it. I've started to notice a lot more people, kind of warm up to like some of the ideas that they had, like the black box missions and, just having more focus on stealth, like the old games. As much shade as like Unity gets, I can kind of see why people like it. I kind of dislike it for a number of reasons. Like I don't like the fact that like Arno is basically just another Ezio clone. I also just don't like the fact that the assassins don't know what the fuck they're doing in that game, but that's a whole nother topic. So, it's... I get it. And I think also, too, like, now that the co-op actually functions for the most part, the co-op is, I think, what people like the most, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, sadly, it's the last game they did multiplayer with competitive co-op.
Yeah.
Sad.
Oh yeah, they abandoned that in Syndicate.
No, they banned it. Well, Unity was the last game, so yeah, Syndicate didn't have any.
Yeah,
multiplayer
yeah, they
or
abandoned it.
anything with it.
Yeah. Oh, because then there's this other service or whatever that they're supposed to have, which was supposed to be a launcher, but there's like word about it going around that it's actually supposed to be a subscription service for Assassin's Creed now. Assassin's Creed
Like
Infinity.
fancy.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I don't know what that shit is anymore. Gotta keep changing it or change the report for.
Shadows is supposed to be the first game that's a part of that thing, as far as I
Hell's
know.
everything else then.
Ubisoft Hex was going to be the Witch Trials or whatever.
Yeah, but
No,
like,
I'm talking about like. No, I'm talking about for like Valhalla and Mirage. Like, then what the hell are these games then? Are you not gonna put that in Infinity or
no,
what the fuck it is?
no. So like, what
I
they
mean-
were supposed to do was Shadows was supposed to be, or is supposed to be the first game that's a part of Infinity, right? And then every game after, so like Hex and whatever comes after the fact, right? Like I think Jade and also the Netflix AC mobile game that's supposed to be a thing. If people even remember that. So they're all supposed to be like connected in terms of like content, right? So like if they do like cross promotional like missions or like DLC or whatever, or if they do like a multiplayer like event for like a new Assassin's Creed, because they did mention multiplayer, right? Like that's what it was supposed to be a part of. Basically they just wanted to streamline how they do the crossover content that they've been doing like with Odyssey and Valhalla.
Mhm.
I don't know, bro. Ubisoft is weird.
They've done so much that it's hard to keep track of all the
For real.
the pile of shit they just left behind them with every step.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and I feel like I guess here's another question that I have for you guys, right? Like, um do you feel like they're throwing on way more projects than they really should be for this franchise? Like, I know this franchise has overstayed its welcome, right? But like, I mean, like, just even without that in mind, right? Just like because of the fact that we have.
It's their golden goose, so they kind of don't have a choice but to keep this pipeline up because they were canceling projects left and right, like what, last year or the year before.
Okay.
There's no Far Cry game coming out anytime soon, so they can't use that. The Avatar game is probably not selling that well compared to some of their other products.
I've hardly heard anyone talk about it.
Yeah, so in any other game that came out besides from Avatar, it's not really being talked about, you know? So AC is all they got to print money. So it's the only choice they got.
Yeah. It's too bad the buyout didn't happen for Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Because okay, like I guess what I'm trying to say here, right, with that is like, could you imagine like Shadows being a better game, right? If some other company got the rights to Assassin's Creed, decided to, I don't know, not necessarily reboot it, but like change it enough dramatically to where I guess like
Ubisoft already did that.
okay, I guess what I'm trying to say is like look at the like the Hitman, the new Hitman trilogy, right? Like how they changed it from what like Square Enix was trying to do with it when they did their take on Hitman.
Square Enix had nothing to do with the development. That was all IO, same developer for years.
Oh, was it? Okay. So
Yeah, Square Enix was the publisher.
So I stand corrected on that, but I guess like a comparison that I could make is like Hitman, right? Like, imagine something like that where somebody just takes the rights to Assassin's Creed and then just changes it enough, but in a way where it's like actually good enough and people are interested in it again. But I mean like more so like the like hardcore fans that feel like you know, like what's the right word, like disconnected from what they're doing with this series now.
I think if hardcore fans got their hands on this game, they would have gone back to like 2, like in terms of gameplay at least. Like more focus on stealth.
Sorry, it's funny how you brought up Hitman in particular because some fans think that AC game with the current Hitman style could actually work. It's like, no, it's all stealth, right? And disguise and shit. What you do in AC most of the time, just blend in and perform the assassinations. Well, originally. Yeah, so like it makes style an AC game would be lit though. That's a whole different conversation.
I mean, Hitman is just modern day Assassin's Creed anyway, so.
Yeah, I could see it that way too.
The more you think about it, the more.
I could kind of see it. Yeah. I mean, you are playing as. I mean, it's literally called Hitman: World of Assassins, right? Like the current trilogy.
Yeah.
So So it's. I could see it working. What's up,
I
Aaron?
think IOI could handle Assassin's Creed if Ubisoft sold it, but they won't. So.
Also, what were you saying, Aaron?
No.
Oh, okay. So, I know I talked quite a bit about this, but is there anything you guys want to talk about in regards to Shadows that I might not have brought up?
Yeah, I better have
an open world.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What do you think they're gonna do for the open world?
Yeah, I hope not. Again, not Valhalla. Because holy shit.
But I'm assuring you that's what we're gonna get. You're gonna have Japan, a huge sprawling map with
That's
like
full of nothing.
10 different like mini objectives to do throughout it.
Yeah, you got like 5,000 collectibles. You want to have a vastness of nothing. You climb that mountain and then die trying to do it.
Look, Tsushima was generous by having like 5 different things to do around the island of Tsushima.
Tsushima's actually does his job. Like they gave you shit to do.
Yeah.
World.
And it
welcome
actually
back.
like matters in terms of gameplay. Like the bamboo increases your resolve. The hot springs increases health, was it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that 4chan?
Yes.
The shit that Eli
Somebody
posted.
I'm not even gonna call that a meme because that's literally pretty much what we know happened.
Yeah.
Minus the very last part, but yeah, people live in ignorance. What are we going to do?
Enlightened.
You can't find somebody who's too stupid to understand what you're saying.
I was gonna say too, if we're looking at the collector's edition map, I think that's probably going to be the map for the base game, and then they're just gonna give you the rest of the Japan as like expansions.
That looks like half of Japan. Or like
That's the heart
like
of
half
Japan.
the map.
No,
Okay.
that's just the heart of the Japan. So they don't have the northern or southern part of it, which which means that, I mean, there is a season pass, right? How much?
Oh, really?
Yeah, the lad more.
Yes, really.
more content.
But like what I was gonna say was like because of the fact that there is the season pass, right? Like, and they don't even specify what's in the season pass, right? So like, imagine paying for a season pass before knowing what you're getting out of it.
For all
right?
you know, it could be just purely cosmetic.
Yeah. So.
That would be hilarious.
And given that Valhalla, right, had like 3 fucking expansions, one of which was like not planned for until like last minute.
Yeah, it was not part of the season pass, so you had to buy that on top of that.
Yeah, so
Dawn
like,
of Ragnarok, whatever.
So like, if I had to go out on a limb, right, I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be two expansions for now, until they decide they can make another expansion of some kind, right?
When they feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, honestly, now I think about it, I have not much to add to the shit because we haven't seen any gameplay for it. And the optics around this game is not sounding too good because you got morons on Twitter fighting.
I mean, we can always come back to this when they release gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to talk about it after the fact, right? Talk about what they show off in gameplay, see what we were potentially wrong about in terms of like what we were thinking, right? And also like just characterizations for both of the characters, right? Because like I think right now that's the biggest thing that people are kind of getting at is like it's just really not clicking with what we anticipated. So So with gameplay and like obviously they're not going to show off a lot of story, right? But we could at least see like how the characters are going to interact with each other, how they're going to speak to like the NPCs and stuff like that, how they're going to perform in just general combat or stealth and stuff like that, right? And also like the cosmetic stuff too, because like something that I was mentioning too is like I'm not a fan of how they constantly don't have a beaked hood for assassins, right?
Yeah, we're out of the bird age, man. Give up.
Yeah,
Sit down.
bird down. I just want bird up. So you know, like that's
Give up.
so like that's kind of the stuff that I wanna see, right? Like I'm very like and like I said before, I think I'm very split on this game because on the one hand, right, could be a decent game. I don't have my hopes up because it's Ubisoft, it's Assassin's Creed, and if anything, I'm still not gonna buy it day one. Like, I have to see like something very significant enough to like have my mind changed on this. I think, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way in regards to that, but
I mean, more or less, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be lying to say it piqued my interest to a certain degree because like I like to see where this shit goes. Like, is it gonna be a good game or not? Because like, you know, we'll be asking for this for a long time, right? But considering current Ubisoft, you know, the game might not be good
yeah,
or
that's a good
mediocre
one.
at best.
Ubi shit.
Be shit.
So yeah. With that all in mind, do you guys want to just kind of wrap up and say any final words before we move on out of here?
Go play Ghost of Tsushima. It's now on Steam.
You got
Yeah.
facts?
You got 3 platforms to play it on. Go fucking play it.
The amount of people I've heard, or not heard, read, say, yeah, we already have AC Japan. It's just Ghosts. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
AC at home.
Where your gameplay mechanics don't split between two characters.
Guys, I'm sure Japan will herald it the same way they heralded Ghosts. I'm sure they're gonna give
I'm
it
sure-
the highest praise and tell us, you Westerners sure understand us. Totally.
I'm sure Ubisoft will be ambassadors of Japan or whatever the fuck.
Amen.
Yeah, yeah, so I've said my piece, really just more so, like I said before in the beginning, the concerns of like how they're claiming they're trying to handle the historical accuracy, but clearly showing that it's not the case so far. From a gameplay standpoint, once we see gameplay, I might have a different opinion on it. So, and I think a lot of you guys are kind of on that same page where it's like, yeah, if the gameplay is not bad, right? If it's decent enough to give it a shot, you know. And also too the way that the characters are portrayed, if they're portrayed in a way where it's interesting enough, right? Then it probably won't be as underwhelming, probably I would say, as we initially thought.
I hope so, but I've
I
learned
doubt it.
not to expect
Yeah.
anything from myself.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that you guys are expecting it, right? Like, it's obviously what we hope, right? But it's
Yeah,
Ubisoft,
we're
so we can't expect anything, right? But
Look, we've all been down this road with this company. Like, why should we think otherwise at this point?
yeah, that's fair. I got heavily disappointed by AC3, so I guess I can't really expect much from them, right? So,
Yeah, they made the best pirate game after that, and then they made the worst pirate game a decade later.
Literally a decade later.
oh, I
2024 now.
thought you were gonna say like they made the worst pirate game literally after that, because I was gonna say like Rogue wasn't that bad, like.
Yeah, Rogue was fine.
Rogue's not even a
Rogue
pirate
was-
game.
Well,
We're colonizing this shit.
Well, more like a Mariner game, if you want to be more
Mariner.
accurate.
Yeah, there you
right?
go. There you go.
Mirror. Yeah,
Now we was samurai and shit.
So, yeah, if we could probably do a follow up on this game whenever gameplay shows up. But until then, right? Why don't we go ahead and do some outros and go from there? So, Brandel, where can we find you?
Twitter, ImmortalBrandel, Linktree in bio. Go away.
Pussy and bye.
I was gonna say that's gotta
In
come up.
bio.
So Aaron, where can we find you, good sir?
As always, nowhere, bro. Leave me alone.
Nowhere and everywhere, right?
Nowhere. I'm under your bed, sleeping next to your mom. That's it.
After that, we got Eli. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at GammaAlias.
Report him.
And last but not least, James. Where can we find you?
In your house, behind you, right now, and on Twitter at DevilHunterJames.
Hey, that was a nice segue. So yeah, you guys can find me as BioDevil_Dom. I have a link tree as well, where I'm at for pretty much everywhere. We'll see how things turn out. I'm just not holding my breath because I'm just not expecting much out of Ubisoft. Soon after, though, I do want to let you all know that we have another podcast coming for video games that have great soundtracks but are actually just really not great games. That, I think, is going to be a more interesting podcast where we can just talk about all the various games that do have these amazing soundtracks but aren't really good games and what possibly could have happened with them in that process. But until that, we hope to see you in the next one. So, see ya.
I have a little time.